Alright guys, such good here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Sunday so far. Today I wanted to talk about a number of topics, the main one being Scump pretty much leaking on stream that this upcoming online season for the CDL is going to be tournament based. We've had this whole discussion whether they are going to do weekend tournaments or whether they're going to go back to a league format, which is what I and a lot of people I think were expecting. But Scump says on stream here, and I've really heard nobody else talking about this right now, that, you know, when is my first tournament, when is our first tournament as a Chicago Huntsman? That's what he says. I can hardly imagine he's saying this with the case that it's actually a league. So very, very exciting news, to be honest. Let's hop right into a few other things first though. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always. First of all, this from Dashy yesterday at TJ Halley. This, gif of him sliding onto the bench here. Who knows what this really means, but just another tweet in the whole saga of Dashy being benched from the team. What's going on right now? Difficult to gauge anything from this, but if you guys have any particular thoughts on what this could mean, leave them down in the comment section below. Moving on to this, yesterday we talked about how Clayster pretty angry, a lot of the pro players still not turning up to practice on time. Methods replies 17 hours ago, and Clay replies, man, I'm already raging at our team's big brother, I'm sorry. So kind of interesting that he's moaning at other teams, and then all of a sudden Dallas Empire are late to a scrim themselves. But let's go on to this as well. Minnesota Rocky yesterday, they had this $40,000 charity Rocker Royale Warzone tournament. Ravens for NHS ended up winning it. Really, really cool story here actually. So Wiskin scraps, and I think they had to play the first couple of rounds 2v3, which is pretty remarkable. They ended up getting through those, winning the $15,000 grand prize for the NHS over here in the UK, which of course we're in a difficult situation right now. The NHS and healthcare systems the world over are very, very stretched. So yeah, really, really cool to see how that ended up going down. And yeah, as Wiskin says here, had to get twisted and somehow won the Rocker 40k charity tournament. NHS, that one was for you. So with those things out the way, this is what I mainly wanted to discuss. A big thanks to Leo Andaluz, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, for pointing this out to me here on Twitter. So if you guys see anything along these lines you'd like to point out to me, feel free to get in contact on Twitter. It'll be linked down in the description box below. Haven't seen anyone talking about this. So firstly, just want to share a clip from Doug about a week ago now, just over a week ago. I'm pretty sure it was last Saturday or something like that, saying that, look, this upcoming weekend tournament or the upcoming online season, they have decided what's going to happen. They've told the players, but they haven't yet announced. And I talked about this like over a week ago, thinking, oh, okay, fair play. They'll probably announce it this coming Monday or whatever, given the Overwatch League that past weekend had online tournaments, had online, league matches up and running. So I thought the CDL would soon follow suit. It's a week later now, still hasn't happened at all. So I'll just share that clip first.
Angel, they're going to announce it soon. They just told us today. I'm not allowed to say.
So then we have this one from Scump. So Scump calls them tournaments, says the players know when they are playing. I guess we can expect the same format as before, not a change to the league match format. So very, very exciting. Pay close attention to this clip.
So what's going on with the Call of Duty League?
Oh man, I mean, the players know, like, when we're playing, but we're obviously not allowed to say anything. But, I mean, it's just all online. And you, yeah, and
you're not allowed to say anything.
I mean,
yeah, these servers suck.
No, I'm saying like the date of our first tournament.
Oh.
Oh, one on me. He will fall though. Yeah, he's
So, as we all know, this was what the schedule did look like. Pretty sad right now that we would have been on the Championship Sunday, as I speak right now, of the Chicago event, 4th to the 5th of April, which would have been the second event in 4 back-to-back weekend championships at Dallas, Chicago, then Florida, and then Seattle, and then it would have been a bit of a break to Minnesota in May, Paris, but all of these events, of course, no longer going forward. So we had the discussion on what the options are for the CDL. I imagine that just as a bit of a cop-out and to make things easier for themselves, they might revert to some sort of league format, especially given that all the teams right now have played the same amount of tournaments. So I was hoping they wouldn't, but of course, having a tournament-style format means how do you exactly enable the team that was meant to be hosting it to still get their own brand out there? Do you brand this as a Dallas tournament even though it's going on online, right? Is that a tack that you decide to take? Maybe it is, right? So we will have to see if, as Scump says, they're tournaments, as he says. Like, I'm pretty sure that was Nature asking him. I can't exactly tell whose voice that was. But as Scump says in the clip, no one really knows, at least public side, when their first tournament is, but all the players do. So Chicago clearly playing in some tournaments. The question is, as I talked about when I did that video on some of the options for the CDL, Are they going to do 8-team tournaments like these would have been, or is it going to be 12-team, all of the teams attend? If it's a 12-team tournament, it's quite difficult to schedule in terms of, do you have groups to start with, and then you've got to figure that all out online. Doing the broadcasting is quite difficult. You'd probably need a Bravo stream to get every team on stage, because the real point of doing these home series events was that every single team got their opportunity on main stage. There was no side station, there was no Bravo station, which meant that the best teams in the game, well, not just the best teams, but what I meant to say really was that every team has played approximately the same for these league spots. So the idea is that you give every team an equal opportunity to get their brand out there on the main stage, and you don't relegate them to side stations if they're not a particularly strong team. And that's kind of a difficult thing to juggle. If you're not the crowd favourite, you're on Bravo stream, even though you paid the same amount of money for your league spot as did the team on main stage, right? So that's something to juggle, and that's kind of why they went for this one main stage approach for the CDL, as far as I understand. Now you're doing that online. If you're going to have double a limb, you're going to have all this kind of stuff. You've got Bravo streams as well. A team's going to be happy the fact that their teams aren't playing on main stage when they paid the same amount for the franchise spot. Like, this is questions that have to be answered. Well, it makes it quite difficult to set up these tournament formats online. Will they just go with 8 teams and do a similar situation? You have a couple of GSL-style double elimination groups, then you go on to the main tournament. Maybe you make that double elim, but with 4 teams, it kind of seems not worth it. So whether they'll go with the same style, if they're just going to copy and paste what they were planning for the league and these LAN events, now doing it online, doesn't seem like it should have taken them this long to come to the decision. So feels to me like they must have something else planned. And as I was saying, I'm hoping that we do have these 12-team tournaments. As I say, it's going to be quite difficult to organize, going to have multiple streams, and that's why they're doing these exhibition matches to kind of practice this stuff. And maybe, as someone pointed out, this Game Battles integration, the 60Hz servers, the dedicated servers going on behind the scenes, that may well have come in just at the right time for the league to operate all of this online league format going forwards via that network, which would be really, really cool to see. Hopefully that is the case, because there's going to need to be, dedicated neutral hosts and that kind of thing to make sure it's all fair for both teams doing it in an online environment. As I say, going to be difficult to make a 12-team tournament format work. Hopefully they can figure it out, though. Would be great to see. And yeah, we'll have to see how this develops going forward. But Scump reckons that it's tournaments, so that is good news at the very least. As I said, I was hoping that every team would be able to be there every weekend. Like every weekend, if not every other weekend, we have a 12-team tournament format. Maybe it stretches over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Thursday. Who knows if it's needed to get all the games done. Like, I don't really mind, but as long as it's pretty common, and it would be great to see all the teams there every single weekend, just so the viewership could be great. Because right now, a lot of esports and virtual sports are doing really well given the current situation. Obviously, a tragic situation the world over, but you can't deny the fact that certain elements are being helped by this, right? So it would be great if Call of Duty can get in on the action, but we just seem to be a little bit behind the times here, especially with the Overwatch League and Formula 1 and NASCAR and all of these other esports seem to be a bit ahead of the curve right now. So not ideal situation. Hopefully we get some news on this very, very soon indeed. So moving onwards here, I wanted to talk about this from Shots Impulse Grenades. This was a really, really cool thing I saw. So interesting, at Treyarch's job listing for senior designer says competitive league play for their next project. This is when you know Treyarch truly cares for the competitive scene. So of course, this year's title coming out in October, hopefully it doesn't get delayed or anything, but October, November, whenever it's going to come out, supposedly is not going to be Black Ops 5, it's going to be kind of a best of Black Ops, kind of, I forget exactly the word they use, but a Black Ops title, but not in the future, not in the past, that kind of in the middle type of gig. But anyway, this is one of the job descriptions right now for Treyarch. Treyarch is searching for the next design member of its global systems team, etc., etc. Digging into our history, the group responsible for player progression, identity and personalization, competitive, league play, best play in theater mode, and all of this stuff like, casual, hardcore, and competitive audiences. So this is already a great sign, right? Like, Treyarch have always been super on board with the competitive side of the game, much more than Infinity Ward have. So given we're just seeing this, it really does say to me that we're in for a good time this year with the Treyarch title, if, as I say, it does come out as planned. Competitive league play, competitive audiences, the job descriptions mentioning these is obviously a fantastic sign. So hopefully this year's Call of Duty game is going to be really, 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 really good. We can only hope so, right? Franchise League would be great to get a fantastic game to go alongside it. I'm not really sure we got that this year with Modern Warfare for the inaugural season. season. Last year was kind of a pseudo franchise league, and that kind of worked pretty well on Black Ops 4. So we'll have to see what happens this year. And a couple of other things then before we finish off. Tonight, these exhibition matches going on potentially right now as you guys are watching this video. Royal Ravens versus the Mutineers. I'll be covering the results tomorrow. Paris Legion versus LA Guerrillas, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So some pretty fun matches here that we can watch tonight. Hopefully, as I say, this is a sign of things to come. And next weekend, maybe the week after, like hopefully we get some proper online tournaments here. And they're just trialing some things behind the scenes, making sure it works on stream, all of these kind of factors that come into play, just testing things out before the online league. And hopefully, as I say, tournament format for the online league really kicks off in the coming weeks. Just to finish it, we're here then a clip from Nature on stream. We talked about yesterday how, yes, potentially there's 60 Hz on this Game Battles integration stuff, and maybe the dedicated servers they will be using for the competitive stuff. But this Valorant game is being launched with 128 tick servers. Call of Duty right now is played on 12. Counter-Strike Global Offensive in matchmaking is on 64 Hz, which is far and away above. But Valorant on 128 really has taken it to the next level here. And as Call of Duty professional players especially, we really can't settle for 12 when the top games that aren't even properly esports yet, like Valorant hasn't even been released, is running on 128 Hz. The Hz of the last 4 CODs combined isn't even 128. Remarkable stuff. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Stay safe and healthy. I'll see you next time.
No! Do you know what every Call of Duty player plays on in Call of Duty?
12 tick servers.
12 tick. Bro, that means that I'm basically dead on somebody's screen before it even happens on mine.
Yo, side door just ran in.
Coming front.
Oh my god, you all suck balls! You suck balls!